These are all the books I read in 2024, each reviewed in one sentence. If you're new here, my name is Maya and I love that you're here. I'm going to sort this video by star rating and I am going to include DNFs, so we're going to go from DNFs to 6 stars. Soft DNFs won't have a rating because I do intend on continuing reading those books, and hard DNFs do have ratings. Starting off with my soft DNFs, first up is Torn by Carrie and Cole. This book is really slow so far. Next up is Night Owls by A.R. Vishny. This book just isn't clicking with me right now. Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Nothing exciting is happening so far. One of Us Knows by Alyssa Cole. The story is really good. I just haven't picked it up since I put it down. Cross the Line by Simone Sultani. The inner dialogue is so excessive to the point where it's getting boring and frustrating. Pretty Monster by Sheridan Ann. The writing is amazing so far and really easy to read, but I just haven't picked it up since I put it down. Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I like the story so far, but I DNF'd the audiobook because I didn't like the narrator's voices. Twisted Games by Anna Huang. I DNF'd the ebook because it was just boring. A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I just don't feel the need to continue the series right now. Assistant to the Villain by Anna Nicole Maitre. I'm not in the right space to read this right now. Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. I like this story, but I'm not in the right space to read this right now, and I don't know if I ever will be. The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. The beginning is just really boring. Peer Reviewed by Casey Leonard. I really like this story so far, but just put it down because I got distracted and hadn't picked it up since. Moving on to the books that I gave 1 star. First, we have Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. The writing is okay, but the characters are terrible and so shallow.
Literally traumatizing.
Christmas Presents by Lisa Unger. I got 47 minutes in the audiobook and was like, no, this is boring.
No comment.
Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. I got to chapter 8 then realized that I don't care about any of the characters, so I just looked up what happened.
Literally traumatizing.
Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I could barely get through the first 3 chapters because the inner monologue is so cringy and excessive, which made my reading experience feel very janky.
Like 1/3 slay.
Moving on to the books I gave 2 stars. First up, we have The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. This book is so boring and the characters are too infuriating and idiotic for me to continue.
No comment.
Lust by Draythi Annis. This book doesn't make sense and I feel like she lost the plot, which was so disappointing.
Like 1/3 slay.
Fallen Under by Lydia Harbinger. I love the mystery so much but hated the romance and the ending.
Literally traumatizing.
Ruckus by LJ Shen. 70% of this book was a drag, and the only reason this has a 2.5 stars is because of the last 30%.
Literally traumatizing.
Trapped by Lola Malone. I didn't like this book in the series because it's just not for me.
Like 1/3 slay.
The Secret of Whitestone Gate by Julia Nobel. This book was surprisingly boring and violent.
No comment.
Learning to Love Myself by Alex Aubrey. I just didn't like some of the quotes in this book and it was pretty repetitive, so I won't read it again.
Partially slayed.
Sweet Surrender by Viano Oniomo. I just didn't like this book as much as I thought I would.
I don't know how to feel.
The Wicked King by Holly Black. A majority of this book was really boring and I didn't know what was going on, but the ending had me speechless.
I don't know how to feel.
Last up, A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This book is really boring and I will not read it again, but Lucian did end up being my favorite character.
Partially slayed.
Moving on to the books I gave 3 stars. First, we have A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I really love Gray and thought that he deserved better.
Partially slayed.
Prince of Lust by Lucian Burr. This one's just not for me.
Like 1/3 slay.
Merry Little Mishap by Vivian May. I thought everything was boring except the elevator scene, and that wasn't even that great.
No comment.
Bound to the Dragon by Bella Stone. It had action and romance, but in terms of romance, I liked the tension and the slow burn rather than the actual spice scenes that we got.
Partially slayed.
This Winter by Alice Osman. I really hate toxic families, so this was just turning me off and I was only feeling bad for the characters.
Merry Christmas.
Garlic and the Vampire by Brie Paulson. This was a cute little graphic novel.
A Minute Slay.
You Had Me at Happy Hour by Timothy Janowski. This book was a 5-star for me until it felt flat at the 3rd act.
Partially slayed.
Boyfriend for the Holidays by Gaia Tate. This was a cute holiday fake dating romance, but it could have been shorter.
Merry Christmas.
Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Osman. I thought it was relatable, but I just didn't think it was 5-star worthy.
A minute slay.
Go with the Flow by Lily Williams and Karen Schneeman. I didn't know this graphic novel was about periods until after I bought it.
A minute slay.
Now moving on to the 4-star category. Sweet Vengeance by Viano Oniomo. I mood read this when I was feeling angry and vengeful.
Slayed.
Nick and Charlie by Alice Osman. I thought it was good and I liked the growth of the characters.
A minute slay.
Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto. This started out very slow for me, but it ended up putting a smile on my face.
Partially slayed.
The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. I love Daniel.
Slayed.
Heartstopper 2 and 3 by Alice Osman. The story really starts to pick up from here.
A minute slay.
The Mystery of Black Hollow Lane by Julia Nobel. This juvenile fiction mystery was surprisingly good.
A minute slay.
The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. The first half of this book was slow and boring, but the second half did what she needed to do.
Merry Christmas.
A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. Way better than ACOTAR, but I don't think it needed to be this long.
Slayed.
Praise by Sarah Kate. This is for the subs, so I enjoyed it.
Slayed.
Trick or Treat by Sarah Louise. I don't think I would reread this, but just in general, I think this is a good, well-rounded story, and I think some people would like it if they read the synopsis first.
Slayed.
Elevator Pitch by Christina Lee and A.M. Johnson. The message of this book is one that I needed to hear in the moment, so I really liked it.
A minute slay.
Sweet by Howell Avery. This psychological thriller romance is underhyped.
Literally traumatizing. Slayed.
Blindsided by Becca Steele. I couldn't stop smiling while reading this book, and Becca is a new author that I'm excited to read from now.
Slayed.
If You'll Have Me by Uni. Somehow this book knew what I've been through and decided to reveal itself to me to heal me.
Slayed.
Collared by Lola Malone. I really love Mal.
A minute slay.
Heartstopper 5 by Alice Osman. I honestly can't remember too much of what happened, but I remember that I really liked it.
A minute slay.
The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. This book deserves the hype, but I was left with questions by the end.
Slayed.
When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. My friend recommended me this and I was about to DNF, but it started to pick up and the ending did what she needed to do.
Literally traumatizing. Slayed.
Blood Moon by Jillian Graves. I think I just really like Vlad.
A minute slay.
Snowflake Kisses by Jordan Green. This is a cute little graphic novella.
Merry Christmas.
North Ranger by Ray Terciero and Brie Indigo. This is the very first graphic novel that I've ever read and I loved it.
Slayed.
Next up is A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. This was a bit of a letdown from book 2, but I still enjoyed it.
Slayed.
Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is the first fantasy book that I've ever read and I had so much fun reading this book, but it didn't give me the 5-star feeling, which is okay.
Slayed.
Never Lie by Frida McFadden. This is the first book I read by her and it had me questioning my prediction skills.
Merry Christmas. Slayed.
The Lost Story by Meg Schaffer. This book had my attention from beginning to end and I didn't know I needed it until I read it.
Slayed.
Heartless Hunter by Kristen Cicerelli. Somehow this book also knows what I've been through and I ended up enjoying it way more than I thought I would.
Slayed.
Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. This is the very first book I've read by her and I really needed it in the moment.
Slayed.
Our Secret Moments by Janisha Boswell. This is her debut novel at 18 and I'm blown away. But there was way too many Taylor Swift references. Good lord.
Slayed.
Now on to the books I rated 5 stars. First up is The Passengers by John Mars. The plot twist.
Slayed the house boots down, Houston, I'm deceased.
Ninth House by Lee Bardugo. This book is very dark and it isn't for everyone, but I ate it up.
Literally traumatizing.
The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I was listening to the audiobook while reading this and I couldn't put it down because it was such a chaotic mess.
Slayed.
More Than Forever by K.G. May. I went into this debut novel completely blind and was pleasantly surprised.
Slayed.
Heartstopper 4 by Alice Osman. This book literally saved my life.
Slayed.
Lastly, for this category, we have Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo. I read this because I eventually started watching Shadow and Bone for the Crows, and the book ended up being so much better than the show.
Slayed the house boots down, Houston, I'm deceased.
Last but not least, it's finally time to reveal my 6-star reads of the year. First up, we have The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. Ooh, Alex is for the girls.
Slayed the house boots down, Houston, I'm deceased.
Next, I have Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. I read this book in one sitting and absolutely loved it.
Slade that has boots down, Houston, I'm deceased.
Next is Tide by Carrie and Cole. This book used to be my #1 book until the next book took its place.
Slade.
I saved the absolute best for last, so my very last 6-star book and the last book that I read in the year of 2024 is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. Who was gonna tell me? I don't count that as my sentence, by the way. That was just a reaction. My 1-sentence review for this book is, this book deserves the hype and more because it is absolutely incredible.
Slade that has boots down, Houston, I'm deceased.
This is actually something I'm deciding to do last minute, but I wanted to give you my top 12 books of the year, and these are in order starting from my most favorite. So my top 12 favorite books of the year are Legendborn, Tide, Heartless Hunter, The Lost Story, Six of Crows, The Ballad of Never After, Our Secret Moments, Blindsided, Heartstopper 4, The Maidens, More Than Forever, and Wild Eyes. So that was my 2024 wrap up. Let me know if you read any of these books and what your thoughts are on them or your star ratings you gave them. I'm honestly so excited for 2025's reading. It will be my first full year of reading since I started reading for myself. Thank you for spending time with me, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!